Hello and welcome to this live stream of the Grand Slam Jerusalem meeting, a World Athletics Continental Tour silver event from inside the Givat Ram Stadium that hosted the European Athletics Under-18 Championships 4 years ago, and in the summer after that, the European Under-20s. It was very hot at those events in the middle of the summer, and it's a warm day again today, 28 degrees. No surprise, zero chance of rain. So we're watching the women's discus here. This is Paraskevula Thrasivulu of Cyprus. So this event just got underway a few moments ago. It's part of the main programme here. There have been some youth races just before, along with an opening ceremony featuring the Mayor, Moshe Leon. And he talked about the fact that it is the third time that this meeting has been held. And very pleased that it has become more established over that time. And following those two championships that I mentioned, helping Jerusalem become established as a destination for athletics events. One of the two main stadiums used in the country, along with Har Yosef Stadium in Tel Aviv. Both of them have hosted the national championships over the years. This is Leah Arviv, one of the local athletes. Perhaps the best known of the athletes in the women's discus is Moldova's Alexandra Emilianov, world and European under-18 and under-20 champion, a fantastic junior, capable of over 64 metres. This is Stefania Stromilo, World University Games bronze medalist in 2015. Personal best of 59.80. So one of those who'd perhaps be aiming for the European Championships coming up in Birmingham in August. Of course, there are entry standards these days, but also tend to see a significant number of participants coming through the ranking system, which to some degree helps those who maybe haven't reached that level that the standard is set at. Gives them an opportunity to make it in by being invited to fill those spots based on the rankings. We're looking at the lineup here for the long jump, and it features perhaps the best known name of all in this competition. Luvo Manyonga, of course, has returned to some prominence this year, competing at the World Indoor Championships in Torun. One of the Israeli athletes here is Shai Efraimov, has a personal best approaching 8 metres, 7.92. This is Ilya Mazaretsky, Ilan Yashuk, and Luvo Manyonga. Great to have him involved in this meeting. The world champion in London 9 years ago, an Olympic silver medalist a decade ago. Daniel Kudo and Gabriel Bitan, European indoor bronze medalist 3 years ago. Eden Sela has represented Israel at junior competitions. Itamar Beilin. So that completes the lineup here. Yeah, Eden Sela was a European under-20 semi-finalist in the 100 metres, in fact, here in Jerusalem on home soil. Personal best in this stadium last July of 7.71. So, yes, you've got the two international well-known names, Bitan and Manyonga, both of whom have gone well over 8 metres in the past, and then a couple of the local athletes with those personal bests, decent personal bests, 7.71 for Sela and Efraimov, 7.92. Both set last year, in fact. This is Estelle Valianu, who has represented Israel in the shot put and discus at the European Team Championships. 17-time national champion. That also includes the hammer throw as well. So Valianu. Nice rotation through the circle there, but you can see perhaps just over-rotating and goes off out to the left-hand side. So in the long jump, Efraimov. National champion in 2022 and 2023, driving down this runway with good speed then, and tries to hang in the air as long as possible with the rotation and stop the natural effect of gravity. Yes, it looks like it was a valid jump, getting the white flag that's being used here today. Efraimov with, as you would have noticed there, quite a long run up. He uses his tall frame well. Those long legs rotating there. And then shooting out at the end. You can see it's quite windy actually here today, plus 3.3, as we wait to see what the distance is. .764 for Efraimov this year. That was in February in Athens. 768, not bad. It's better than his season's best, but of course that was wind legal. That looked like Emelianov in the circle there, showing as first attempt. So yes, still in the early stages of this women's discus competition here in Jerusalem. So gonna clean rotation through the circle there. So it looks like we've got 50 and 55 meters as the cone markers. Barbora Tisha of Czechia. .24-year-old, 4 times a national champion. 57.01, her personal best. That came in Dublin last year. Oh, that is again between those two cones as mentioned. But quite possibly over 50 meters it appears for the first time in the competition. It's interesting, the stadium records are on the meeting website, jgsm.org.il, and a number of them, as you might have imagined, set at the European Under-18s and Under-20 Championships. Even though they're young athletes, there were some of the best who've ever competed on Israeli soil. There's also Israeli all-comers records, as all nations have, so best performance by anyone that's visited the country. Here is Luvo Manyonga, the South African, the former world champion and Olympic silver medalist. It was great to see him back to full fitness and health at the World Indoor Championships. 35 years of age now. And he's been very honest about his issues over the years. You can read a lot about it, some great articles out there. And happy to be back performing and back over 8 meters. 8.11 so far this year. Let's see what he can do here. Manyonga. Again, that beautiful style to watch. And interesting here that the wind reading is much less than Efraimov. Manyonga, who competed in Essen in Germany over the weekend. 7:55. He's in second place behind Efraimov and that windy 7:68 jump that we saw a moment ago. So let's see what the first round has in store for Gabriel Bitan. $7.96 so far this year. Personal best of 8:14. That came in Bucharest 5 years ago, but indoors. Yes, third at the European the European indoors, I should say, in 2023 in Istanbul, behind Miltiades Tentoglu and Tobias Mondler. So red flag for Gabriel Bitan. And that's end of the first round. So relatively small field here, and so we will tick through the rounds quite quickly. Athletes will be fairly pleased, don't have to wait around too long between the rounds. Gerimovic in the discus here. Before we see Estel Valiano again. Team Championships actually won the third division in the discus 3 years ago when the event was held in Horso. All three divisions are there. Slightly different model last year with the top division in Spain and then Maribor for the others in Slovenia. So no marks so far as she lets out a roar. We didn't quite see if her feet stayed in the circle, but as is the way, we always cut out to see where the implement landed. Yes, feet clear there of the edge of the circle. 53.53. So moves into first place. Efraimov, who's already in first place in this long jump, looking strong and buoyed by competing on home soil here. And clearly enjoying himself. $7.68 we saw a moment ago. Interesting that it's another windy jump for him. The automatic mark for the European Championships, by the way, is 8 meters and 5 centimeters. And at the moment, 19 have achieved that entry standard and 11 would qualify by world ranking. Well, led of course by the likes of Simon Ehammer. 8:51 this year, that World Decathlon best. Miltiadis Tentoglu, the defending European champion. And the likes of Mattia Falani, who of course competed here previously and still holds the stadium record of 8:23 when winning that European under-20 title 3 years ago. Emilianov, another with no mark so far, but one of the favourites here certainly. So around that 55-metre mark, pretty much bang on the line. Yeah, another athlete we've seen time and again at the European Team Championships. There's a very close promotion battle, in fact, between Bosnia and Herzegovina and Moldova that came down to the final events, and in the end it was impacted by disqualification in the relay. Barbara Tisha leading the way in the discus until Valianu overtook her. I was initially leading earlier. 52.61 from the second round. Can she continue to improve through the series? Builds up nice speed there. That rotational acceleration. It doesn't look like an improvement though in this third round for the Czech athlete. So the meeting record, or stadium record I should say, set here last year by Daria Zabawska of Poland, 59.37, so they're still a little way off that at the moment. Well, looks like quite a busy stadium here, watching Luvo Manyonga and seeing if he can get over 8 metres. That looks like it could well be. Certainly right on that line, and it's plus 1.8. Let's have another look. Again, that long run up converts that speed into vertical lift and flies out towards 8 metres. Oh, leg shoot at the end as well, helping him get extra centimetres. Manyonga got the African title in Accra, Ghana earlier this year, 8:15. That was a windy jump. In Fayetteville, jumping 8:11 for that season's best I mentioned. Red flag, I think this is for Kudo. 8 metres 12, so a season's best and a wind legal mark for Luvo Manyonga. So closing in on that record of Mattia Falani's 8:23, just 11 centimetres off that here, the Israeli all-comer record and stadium record as well. What can Gabriel Bitan do? 8:12 is right around his personal best. Just 2 centimetres shy of it, in fact. So remember, got the red flag in the first round. The 27-year-old Romanian. It's one of those athletes whose parents both competed in the sport. In fact, both in the jumps. His father in the long jump, his mother in the triple jump. Started athletics around the age of 10. Got a first taste of international competition at the Balkan Junior Championships in 2013. Unfortunately, it's another foul there for Gabriel Bitan. Expecting all the jumpers to get all 6 attempts here. So this is the lineup for the final of the women's 100 metres hurdles. So this is one of the most anticipated events, generally strong across the sprints, including with the 100 and 200 metre finals to come. And in particular here, looking out for Maaike Chinnelim, the reigning Dutch champion. You've also got Claudia Wosztunik, a European under-23 bronze medalist 5 years ago. Nicola Massetti, a former Italian indoor champion. So some good talent and a few athletes sub 13 seconds. Interestingly, this is one event where lots of people have made the European standard 12.88. Well, we know that Europeans are some of the best in the world. Just ask the likes of Titaji Kambunji, Pia Skrzkowska, and Nadine Visser and others. It's actually quite hard to get on the European podium. 30 athletes have the 12.88 standard and just 6 by world ranking. Qualification period continuing still for another month and a day. So this is Linoy Levy, Israeli national champion, but over 400 metre hurdles twice, PB 13.43 in this stadium last year. Maaike Chinnelim, European indoor 8th placer in Istanbul 3 years ago. Quite established on the scene now, 12.66 personal best. Nicola Massetti, 13.02 PB. She was second in this meeting a couple of years ago behind Pauline Alette of France. This is Sofia Iosifidou, 3-time Greek champion, including indoors this year, 13.08 her PB at the European Team Championships Madrid last year. Claudia Wosztunik, as mentioned, a European under-23 medalist in Tallinn 5 years ago. Personal best 12.84. And that came in Finland just a few days ago, just 5 days ago. And then Malakov, Alina Malakov, Israeli athlete. Personal best 14.24 this year. So the athletes to watch out for, you'd expect Maaike Chinnelim of the Netherlands going in lane 4. Claudia Wosztunik of Poland going in lane 7. So Livy, Chinalim, Musetti, Josefidou, Voshnik and Malakov. The 6 athletes in this 100 hurdles final. So now away from the blocks, and Chinalim going well in the orange and blue. Voshnik trying to come through in the white and black, this near side the camera. Still Chinalim, who's going to hold it to the line. Looked like 12.74 on the clock. And Musetti was coming through for second place just behind. But actually it was a decent margin of victory for a sprint hurdles race of this nature. And interested to see what the wind reading would be as well, because it's not too far away from the personal best of Chinalim. Certainly it's a season's best, and the PB was set at altitude La Chaux-de-Fonds 3 years ago in Switzerland. It could well be a windy race. So Chinalim, and second was close in the end, as we see the faller there. Josefidou, the camera just picks up. Let's see what happened to Josefidou. Is that final barrier, goodness me, did just enough to roll over and get to the line. Such a misfortune for the Greek athlete. Can happen. You're just that little bit more tired towards the end of the race, trying to keep that stride pattern spot on. Just having a look along there. That looks like it's a windy race, but generally speaking, Musetti has never gone sub 13, so that's quite promising for her, even though it is windy. So Chinalim of the Netherlands with the victory in the sprint hurdles. Alexandra Emilianov in the discus now. So she has taken over the lead, as you can see, in the second round. 54.94. Still about 4.5 meters off the record here that I mentioned. Daria Zabavska. Record in this stadium. I can see that the meeting record showing as less than that, but the meeting was here 2 years ago, Strumilo, so I think that's an error. The Israeli all-comers record has been held since 1990. Ilka Viluda, 71 meters 10. $57.74, I believe, that attempt there for Emilianov that we just watched. Back to the long jump, and Luvo Manyonga had been in second place behind Ishai Ifraimov. Again, the long run up right. Back to the edge of that runway, adjacent to the start-finish straight on the track. Very determined looking Luvo Manyonga, the 35-year-old South African. Very pleased to be competing again internationally. So 8.12, remember, that wind legal season's best. So the all-comers record, stadium record as well. 8.23 by Mattia Falani. Can he go further? Manyonga, it looks like he has done. Oh, he's achieving fantastic distance. Later years of his career perhaps, but you can always see that big smile on his face when he gets it right in the long jump. One of the great features of his early years. I remember he said that he sees himself floating over 9 meters. Once upon a time he had those grand ambitions, and now he's trying to do what he can to get closer to his absolute best. 8:35, but windy. Still a fantastic effort. Well, fortunate to be commentating on Miltiades Tentoglu in Greece. The Dromio meeting recently where Tentoglu, yes, it was quite windy, but he went out to 8:54. So still one of his best ever jumps. You know, certainly it was around the 8:50 mark and gave the crowd a real show. So those athletes, including Kudo there, who just got that foul, have had 3 attempts. In the men's long jump competition, you're watching live coverage of the Grand Slam Jerusalem athletics meeting. Women's discus continues, and we're into the 4th round. Leah Guy, 45 metres and 5 centimetres from the 2nd round. We heard that Emelianov went over 57 metres just a moment ago. Quick rotation before the discus comes clattering down onto the turf, around 45 metres. Eden Sella, former European age group 100 semi-finalist, who's also a really good long jumper. Yes, also competing in the long jump of those European under-20s without making the final. I believe he is French-Israeli, does a number of competitions in France, certainly has used both flags in his bio on social media, but competing for Israel internationally. Leah Aviv, 45.63, just leaning a little bit off balance there in this 4th round, but has put together a pretty clean series to this point. Yeah, sun really beaming down here, but a bit of swirling wind. Other than that, nice blue sky. Dora Kirikis, 32-year-old, 4-time Hungarian champion with a personal best of 59 metres. Tries to establish that control and that balance. Perhaps didn't quite unleash with all the power that we know she's capable of. Hungary having such a fantastic throwing tradition. We prominently see in the hammer, but also some great moments in the discus too, and the shot put, of course, in which Anita Marton won the world indoor title in 2018. So men's long jump led by Luva Manyonga, and women's discus led by Alexandra Emelianov to establish internationals, and then quite a few local athletes here. Quite a few who are national record holders in their own right. Later on we'll see Adva Cohen, who's competed at many international major championships, European finalist. She'll go in the 1500 metres rather than her commonly seen 3000 metre steeplechase. Some exciting young Ethiopian athletes in those middle distance events as well. including the winner of the Ethiopian Championships over 800 metres, which is quite interesting. So, looks like the hurdles remain out this time for the men's race. So the second track race as part of this main programme at the Grand Slam Jerusalem. This is Thiago Resende dos Santos, South American silver medalist, 13:42 personal best a couple of years ago in Sao Paulo. Don't often see too many established Brazilians competing, even on the European circuit, so it's really good to see. I feel like some of the South Americans don't quite get the opportunities that they deserve. And then we see them do well at the Olympics and World Championships. Sagi Lamdiel, the Israeli, with a personal best of 13:89. Alongside is Eyal Uziel, who you can see has just dipped under 14 seconds in the past. Nolan van Kouwenberg, personal best in Pittsburgh last month of 13:52. So, yeah, emerging towards that world class level if you can go sub 13:50. This is Elios Sofer, trying to get closer to 14 seconds. This is Oron Karnivsky. You can see he's just dipped under that, 13:99. And another of the main contenders in this race, Angel Diaz Rodriguez, the Spanish athlete, World University Games silver medalist in Germany. That event held right after the European Under-23 Championships in Bergen in Norway. 13:44 his personal best. That came last August in Tarragona on home soil for him. So you can see the drone flying there. And the athletes just with their final moments in pre-race preparations. So Van Karenberg in great form here. What can he do against someone like Angel Diaz? Should be closely matched. So Dos Santos, Lamdiel, Uziel, Van Karenberg, Sofer Karnivsky and Diaz Rodriguez. Or Van Karenberg rocking from side to side, trying to get the best start possible. Dos Santos going very nicely with Lamdiel right on the inside here. As Diaz starts to come through, it's Dos Santos against Diaz, who takes it on the line, 13:45. So that's pretty much right on his personal best as we wait to see what the wind reading is, but came through very strongly in the second half of that hurdles race. 13:43 officially. Dos Santos, well, he was pipped, but perhaps Diaz, along with the stronger finishing speed, dipped better on the line. Let's have a look here. You can see it's quite often difficult to compare the very inside from the very outside as we look along, but clearly better finishing speed there from Diaz. Great momentum off that final barrier. Dos Santos and Lamdiel, personal best of 13:89 this year. Also just faded towards the end of that race. And still, it's faster than his personal best, but it is windy. Uziel did well there, 13:65, considering his PB is 13:97. And Diaz Rodriguez from Dos Santos, the top two, in front of him. Looks like Ariel Atias, the decathlete there, Looks like he's part of the competition organising committee, perhaps. One of many Israeli athletes who've gone out to study in the USA, including, I believe, Estelle Valianu, who's been part of 3 different universities. Was at Harvard, then LSU, 1 year there, I think, and then now a University of Virginia student, the 26-year-old. Personal best in Wilmington, California last year, that 59.23. Season's best, the Discus haven that is Ramona, Oklahoma, 57.37. You're watching live coverage of the Grand Slam Jerusalem. We've just seen a really strong hurdles final there, or 2 hurdles finals, and we've got a couple of simultaneous field events that are into the second half now, discus and long jump. So Emelianov, our leader, and this could be a good effort here. And it's over 55 metres once more. Or if not, then right on that line for the Moldovan. In the 5th round now, as you can see. Leah Guy's put together a rather consistent series. Let's see if she can get over 45 metres again. Very close to her 45.15 season's best. So tries to establish that balance, control momentum. Builds the rotation fairly nicely, but perhaps not quite the transfer of energy that she was looking for with the eventual throw. So she competes for Arkansas State. And I believe she's a former water polo athlete as well. That's quite an unusual crossover. Back to Ishai Efraimov now, down to 3rd place, 7.68 windy. He's in the 4th round here. And we saw a wide smile before, but this time a sigh of frustration. Competed at the Balkan Indoor Championships earlier this year in Belgrade. Also represented his country at the Europeans last time around in Rome. And obviously he has since then improved his personal best. So on to a second heat of the men's 110 metres hurdles next. A few well-known athletes in this, including Damian Chikia, experienced Polish athlete. So starting off the introductions right on the inside in lane 3, Dor Hayon of Israel. And then we have Hugo Chapardo, 13.68 at best, just 0.01 off that with his best time this year. Chikia, who was 4th at the World Championships in Eugene 4 years ago, also twice 4th at the European Championships. So alongside him is Amit Rivlin, the Israeli with a best of 14.98. So a few athletes seeded in this. Ole Kukota, the Ukrainian, Balkan Indoor bronze medalist, competed at the World Indoor Heats as well. Filip Demšar, the Slovenian then, 2024 Balkan Indoor champion. And Bernard Mondre of South Africa, World University Games bronze medalist last year. Yeah, there is a bit of a South African contingent here. But it's interesting, they have been doing very, very well in the sprints. Of course, getting an Olympic silver medal with the likes of Akani Simbine and some younger talent coming up behind him. And starting to come through in the hurdles and other events too. So Hayon, Chaparro, Chikia, Rivlin, Kukota, Demšar, Mondre. So Chikia in the pink vest, as we have a faller already there. Going nicely here. Will he be caught? Mondre trying to catch him. So Mondre nearest the camera here will come through. And then Chikia and Chaparro battling behind. $13.46 on the clock. So another decent time. This time coming the way of Bernard Mondre. 13.44 his personal best. Unfortunately it was Amit Rivlin, the faller there, being helped immediately though. Let's have a look initially what happened to him. So this first hurdle really comes unstuck. Look at it flying up behind him. But Chikia is so experienced and composed. But it's another victory from this lane right on the outside. Lane 9, Bernard Mondre, the South African. So Luvo Manyonga in the 4th round. Let's see what the South African can do. 8.35 but windy. And then 8.12 before that. But clearly he's found some brilliant rhythm here. Well, he is one of the all-time greats of the long jump. 8.65, remember that personal best. As we wait for this measurement to come through. Great speed and power and often precision down the runway. Just wonder whether this was indeed a white flag. Flag being shown just out of shot. There's not much in it there, but you know, regardless of whether it's windy or red flag, his reactions are great and he is fantastic to watch. So that time in the hurdles, by the way, is a stadium record. Daniel Cisneros 2 years ago, 13.63, so it betters that by a decent amount. But the all-comers record still held by an athlete from not too far away in Cyprus, Milan Draškovic, back in 2017, 13.31. Barboda Tisha in the discus here. So not too many throws left in this discus competition, but we've seen a few strong efforts from Alexandra Emilianov of Moldova, over 57 meters. There she is in the background. Valianu between them in second place. Well, she has gone out to 57 meters this year, albeit in Ramona. And looks like the discus clattered into the cage there. So 53.53 remains her best. Now has for quite a few years been the standout Israeli female thrower. 26 years of age. She did the treble last year's national championships here in this stadium. Won the hammer, shot put and discus. I think it's the first time she'd actually done that treble. The first national hammer title. A best of 53.61. So obviously her discus performance is closer to an international level, and personal best in the shot put 16.50. All three of those PBs set last year. Miliano's PB 2 years ago, 64.42. So feet right up against the edge of the circle. Try to use all of its circumference. Building that momentum. Trying to get everything right, particularly when we head towards the last round, last chance to improve and make the most of coming to this competition. Well, we've seen some great hurdles races so far, expecting to see a final later on as well. Back to the long jump. Edensela. Also competed at the European Under-23s last year in Bergen in Norway, without making the final in the long jump. Personal best in this stadium last July, as mentioned, 7.71. Just over the legal wind limit there, plus 2.2 for 7.33 in the second round. Only valid jump so far. So building up the speed, a great sprinter in his own right. But red flag again once more, I'm afraid. Sella, who's 21 years of age. One of those who competed at the recent Balkan Championships last weekend in the 4x100 meters relay. So Efraimov in third place, 7.68, respectable but windy. And you can see some of the other subsequent jumps have been wind legal, so ideally get a measurement on the board that's respectable and wind legal as well, closer to what we know he's capable of. in the 5th round, the long jump. Then Gabriel Bitan, the Romanian, 27-year-old from the nation's capital city, Bucharest. Another great one of Europe's capital cities. Really enjoyed visiting there, but I know that there's loads else to see in Romania, including the mountains and some picturesque areas like Brasov. Romanians travelling in numbers to this meeting over the last few years. Idor Schwarz, representing Israel. Alongside him, Emmanuel Osse. So Schwarz was at the European Under-20s last year. Osse, personal best 10.79. Avgostinu, the Cypriot athlete, 10.51 at best alongside him. This is Aviv Kofler, 10.64 at best. Idor Peretz, another one of the contingent who was 5th in the relay at the European Under-20s in Tampere last year. Dmitry Yashchenko, one of the Ukrainians here. We'll see Alexander Sokolov, you may have heard of a little later on. Eitan Brenner and Segev Tamir completing the lineup here in this 100 meters C race. Well, tough one to call this, all very closely matched on personal best, but watch out for Avgostinu perhaps, 10.51 at best. Peretz, 2 alongside from him, 10.47. So Avgostinu in the black, 3rd from the inside, pulling away here from Yevchenko of Ukraine, who's starting to come through. The Ukrainian does take it, 10.57 across the line. So similar to what we said in the hurdles. Another athlete coming through very strongly, close to the outside in the second half of the race. 10.55 officially. Yashchenko from Avgostinu of Cyprus, and then 2 Israeli athletes, 3 in fact, Kofler, Peretz and Schwarz. Oh, that's just outside the wind legal limit. Plus 2.1 they're showing on screen. Shame, because would have been a personal best by 1/10 of a second exactly otherwise. So plenty more 100 metres sprinting to come and 200 metres as well. So let's go back to the long jump and Luvo Manyonga, the South African former world champion. Yeah, was at the peak of his powers really between that sort of 2016 to 2018 era. And great to see him back, while not at the very top of the sport, let's say, but you sense that he's still capable of achieving something in the latter stages of his career. A bit of a disappointment, no mark at the World Indoor Championships in Turin, but did take the African title in Ghana recently in Accra. So, crowd now cheering on. Manyonga, the South African here, in the green and gold. What a brilliant series it's been so far. And we have seen, although it's been windy and although we've got the red flag, consistently over 8 metres one way or another. Particularly that wind legal 8.12 before the windy 8.35. You can see he's got a spring in his step, Manyonga. I'm hearing that the wind has calmed down, but not quite enough, which is a bit of a shame. So Gabriel Bitan, let's see what he can do here. It's hard when you watch someone who's as technically as good as Manyonga. Everything else you compare to, you feel might look a little bit more flat. But Bitan always has good speed on that runway, tries to convert that into vertical lift, and yeah, it just is a little bit flat compared. But he's still a jumper capable of over 8 metres and got that European bronze medal indoors. Sometimes you find that Miltiades Tentoglu wins pretty much everything, but medals like the bronze medal capable, someone on their day will go over 8 metres or yeah, well over 8 metres or produce one of the best jumps of their lives, and there's quite often a large field that's capable of doing that. So on the inside, Nikolaos Panagiotopulos, and then the Israeli athletes alongside Emmanuel Aka. His teammate is Liam Akwa, another member of that European Under-20 contingent last year, all coming through together at the same time. This is Brendan Paris. Personal best 10.47. So a lot of athletes around that sort of mid-10 mark. Amin Kazmi of Belgium, he's a bit faster than that, 10.35 his best. There's Alexander Sokolov, European finalist in the relay, who was 5th in 2018 in Berlin. Alongside him, Ilya Popov, 10.43 at best. So obviously, we already saw Yashenko win the first race and 3 more Ukrainians in this. Latest one is Mihailo Kovsh. 10.65, but that was set earlier this year. So Panagiotopulos on the inside, Balkan Relay champion. Aka, then Akwa, Paris, Kazmi, Sokolov, Popov and Kovsh. That Ukrainian trio on the outside here. And this next race of the men's 100 metres. So expecting good things from Sokolov here, who gets the best start. Aka going well in the red as well. But here comes Sokolov. A clear victory. 10.26 seconds. Well, that's a really strong time, even if it is windy. Sokolov, yeah, that personal best 10.17, but hearing that it is a windy time. And encouraging, though, for the A final that's to come, regardless of windy or not. Yeah, quite a few athletes with all conditions personal best, including Aka. It was 10.48 wind legal. Looks like the high jumper is about to be introduced. And they include Yoni Kapitolnik, European Under-20 champion, a World University Games winner. But first, in second place, 53.53 for Estelle Valianu in the second round. What can she do with her last go? It's around 55, maybe just short of that line. Yeah, just crashed down briefly there. So has been pretty consistent, as you can see. $58.90 in the last round, or in the round previous to this one, I mean, for Alexandra Emelianov. 61 metres, by the way, the automatic mark to qualify for the European Championships. At the moment, 17 athletes have that. So that goes back to July last year. Of course, some athletes who have it last year may not be selected by their national federations. So quite often in the latter stages before the competition, more places do become available and so on and so forth. But that's really a guide, and it's a useful guide if you search for European Athletics Road to Birmingham, a site similar to some of the websites we've seen from World Athletics over the last few years. Just being able to track really what the standard is and how many athletes have achieved it and what the rankings are looking like. Always quite useful. Dutch athletes will be among the favourites, and the Germans too. Come those Europeans, of course, Jorinda van Klinken, Alida van Dalen, Marika Steinacker, Shanice Kraft, Lea Braunagel, Christian Pudenz, and others, but all if selected. Melina Robert-Michon, of course, who has no intention of retiring, as I understand it, anytime soon. Yeah, she's achieved 65.96 this year. Very respectable distance, certainly for an athlete competing in their 40s. Isha Yeframov then. Last round in the long jump. Just going to take a moment, I think, before his next jump as they introduce the high jumpers. So we'll see them in action in a moment. I believe that there are 3 of them. Kapitolnik, who I've mentioned, also Valentin Androne of Romania, and Kaysen O'Reilly of the USA. So last chance for Efraimov to improve here. Let's see what he can do. Great speed on this runway. Brings those knees up nice and high. I was looking for more than 768. Don't think he's got that here. But yeah, salutes the crowd who've given him some good energy. And he's rewarded them with a decent showing. And of course, yeah, as we often say at these meetings, a chance for the local athletes, some of the best from the host nation, to compete against some very strong international guests and some really established ones, particularly in the form of Luvo Manyonga. So nice climax here. Efraimov himself applauding along. Bitan still yet to go. High jump starting in a moment. Well, the first thing that'd be great to see is a wind legal jump. More than 8.12. Other than that, though, great to save the moment. Manyonga in the final round then. The South African. And a little bit unorthodox there as he leapt his way through and backed out of the jump. Still, great to see him perform well. The age of 35. Be interesting to see how long he stays in the sport and what he's capable of achieving. Of course, the World Championships outdoors next year would be a target, I'm sure. So 8.35 windy, 8.12 season's best wind legal today. So Androne this is in the high jump. Looks like we're starting out here at 2 meters. He goes clear easily. So, starting to introduce the athletes for the 100A final. Oskar Zgrava, the Latvian indoor 200 record holder. Dambrauskas alongside him, the Lithuanian, 10.29 at best. This is Dominik Kopets, European bronze medalist in the relay 2022. Really interesting athlete here is Cheswill Johnson of South Africa, 10.02, recent personal best Pretoria. Fifth on the long jump, world indoors 4 years ago. Bulgarian Hristo Iliev alongside, Balkan champion indoors in the 60. And Patrick Krupa, world under 20 relay bronze medalist 5 years ago in the 4x4. And then Ioannis Voskopoulos of Greece, new personal best this year, 10.36. So Grava, Dambrauskas, Ferreira, Kopets, Johnson, Iliev, Krupa and Voskopoulos. Really interesting race, this one. With Johnson, perhaps the favourite, 10.02, recent personal best. So the A final underway. Kopets in the red gets a brilliant start. Iliev starting to come through now. Watch out for Ferreira too. Very close race here. And across the line, Johnson, 10.03. So following up that recent personal best, even if it's a windy time, another great mark, so close to breaking 10 seconds. And it is equal to his personal best. Waiting for the win to be revealed though. A South African 1-2 in the end ahead of Marco Ferreira. Another athlete who's improved this year to 10.04. All of his top 10 best times in 2026. PB Montgeron last weekend was 10.38 last year, so an extraordinary improvement. So he's third from the inside, coming through Johnson. Johnson overtakes him right at the end in the final 10, 20 metres or so. Johnson, Ferreira, Iliev, the top three it looks like. Kopets just behind, the athlete who appeared to get the best start of all in the centre in the red. Yeah, so what's that, fourth time today that South African has topped the standings. Again, a decent margin of victory. Very close to going sub 10. Well, here we have the final result of the women's discus. Good to see this graphic then. And nearly 5 metres between Emilianov and Valianu. Strumilo, a previous meeting record holder here, I believe. 53.38. Tita in fourth. Ahead of Thrasiavulu. The two established internationals, as we expected, on top in the men's long jump. A windy effort there for Manyoga, 8.35 from 7.91 Gabriel Bitan. We've moved up to 2.10, so we've moved up fairly quickly there, but only 3 athletes in the field, and not all may have jumped initially. Kaysen O'Reilly. Silver medal at the North and Central American Championships 3 years ago. He's cleared 2.22 3 times this year. Personal best 2.27 last year in Canada. So here is the first appearance that we've seen for Kapitolnik. One of the athletes who got a chance of a European and World Under-20 double in 2021, Tallinn and Nairobi. The latter, not every country took a team, but a few athletes, including Saga Vaninen and others. Maya Urskag did the double. So he's over at 2:10 as well. 2:31 his personal best. Has had a few injuries over the years. Yeah, that personal best coming in Tel Aviv in February of last year. Season's best 2:21 to win the Big Ten Championships. That was in Lincoln in New England. 8th at the World Indoors last year. Also took part in last year's European Indoors and World Outdoors without making the final. European finalist in 2024. Same at the Worlds in 2022. That's a bit of a breakthrough season initially. Of course, was 2021, but breakthrough on the senior stage the year after. Okay, so first time the bar's been brought down that we've seen. Valentin Androne, 5-time Romanian champion, is the 24-year-old. Well, we're not too far away from the final of the women's 100 metres. Again, decent amount of international guests taking part here, including some from Eastern Europe. And a reappearance of our 100 hurdles winner, Maaike Chinalim of the Netherlands. One of the athletes, I think it's Mihalas. A lot of strapping there around her thigh. This is Ronnie Rabinowitz on the inside, 12:26. So yes, a good chance for some of the athletes who maybe haven't competed at this sort of level before to get closer to breaking 12 seconds. Should be the mark of a good athlete. And then obviously sub 11 world class. This is Maria Mihalas, another one of our Romanian guests here. Balkan Indoor champion last year. Israel's best at the moment has consistently been Alina Drutman. Did the double at their championships, 100 and 200 the last couple of years. And then Chinalim returns, the hurdler, European finalist 3 years ago in Istanbul indoors. Seen this athlete quite a lot on the European circuit on these live streams. Finland's Emma Tainio, their 200-metre indoor champion the last couple of seasons. 11:57 her PB. This is the 20-year-old reigning Lithuanian champion over 60 and 100 metres, Emma Rupšuta. And her compatriot is Lucretia Sabataita, the reigning champion over 200 metres indoors and out. 11:44 personal best. And Mercy Afrifa, 200-metre indoor national record holder with 23:96 in Athens in February. And the sister, of course, of Blessing is Mercy Afrifa. And then Nitsan Asas here. 12:04 personal best. Again, another with a chance to go under 12 for the first time. Well, Mercy Afrifa, not quite the level that her brother's at just yet, but an improving athlete. 11:62 at best. Interesting to see what she can do on home soil here. Full lineup with Rabinowitz, Mihalas, Drutman, Chinalim, Tainio, Rupšuta and Sabataita. Mihalas with the strapping on the thigh. Don't know whether that's going to affect her at all here. Sabataita fastest on PBs with Rupšuta. So the two Lithuanians we're watching out for here in the black vest, it's Rupšuta and Mihalas very close to her. So who's it going to be across the line? Chinalim finishing fast, but Rupšuta does take it. 11:47 on the clock track side. Rupšuta leading initially, was well challenged and then came back strongly. Just 20 years of age. Recent personal best 11:37 came at the Cosmo Cup on home soil about a week ago, 8 days ago. So Mahalash still very strong. Let's initially have a look at her from lane 2. And then Black Vest in the middle, Rup Shooter, Chinalim finishing nicely. Mahalash really did fade there into around 4th place. So the Lithuanian Rup Shooter from the Dutch athlete Chinalim, the hurdles victor earlier. Interesting to see the full result there. Tainio got 3rd place. Mahalash was indeed 4th. And, oh, that was wind legal, interestingly. Well, we've seen Androna bring the bar down a moment ago. We're up to 2:15 now. And O'Reilly jointly leading with Yoni Kapitolnik. Still looks pretty windy out there, doesn't it? With the flags fluttering about. So still some middle distance action to come here. We'll see how high they can jump in the high jump. 2:15. It's be interesting to just have the 3 athletes here, but of course the turnaround time between attempts will be less, and it may be that fatigue plays a part here. But of course, you know, in many countries, you will often see some of the more technically specific events, technically complex events. You will see smaller fields, including at national championships, as we found out when doing research for the European Team Championships. Some events like the pole vault, which is just one athlete involved. Steeplechase is another. Can be just a few, including, in fact, you know, don't forget there's those that finish as well. Some DNFs. So O'Reilly sails over 2:15 quite impressively there. Very consistent. 2:22 3 times this year. So we have a wider shot of the stadium. I remember medal presentations at the European Under-20 Championships happening just below that big screen. And there was a lot of dancing with all other competitors. Music on the loudspeaker. Casey O'Reilly making things look very, very easy. Means that Kapitolnik is effectively now in 2nd place, but okay, so he's had one failure at 2:15, has he? Well, it was showing as a failure just a moment ago. We'll wait and see. Right, well, we've seen Androne bring the bar down initially, and he's next to go at 2:15. Plenty of space for a long run up here, approaching from this left side. Bar comes snapping off. Looked like he had a decent amount of height there. Well, managed to correct 2nd attempt, previous height. Yeah, I'd be very interested to hear what the athletes think of having a smaller field. Maybe they quite like it, because the previous failure even is fresher in the mind of what's needed in terms of correcting it, and they maybe don't have too much time to overthink. Just focus on their own objective. Which is pretty clear. It's them against the bar. As much as you'll say, you know, there's camaraderie and there's some sort of environment with your competitors. It is, especially at one-day meetings, it is largely individual, and Kapitolnik here against this bar. So yes, does seemingly appear to be one failure for him at 2:15 that he is carrying, approaches from the right-hand side. Late acceleration there was interesting. Late burst. Seen him sometimes jumping in real pain. So hope that he is feeling fit again, but yeah, just pointing to the ankle, I think it was. Well, some very interesting entertainment here. We have seen, there was a very interesting mascot a few years ago called Champy. It was a cross between two animals. I think one of them was a gazelle. Certainly pretty obscure in the animal stakes. Androne. Well, the first attempt I think was closer, I'm afraid. Of course, it means O'Reilly is sitting pretty, having cleared 2:22. Efraimov, third place in the long jump a little earlier on. Kapitolnik, 6 times Israeli champion at the age of 23, which is rather impressive. So he'll hope to go to his 3rd European Championships in Birmingham this summer. That is much, much better, much more consistent on the approach. Got bags of height and kept that trajectory over the bar consistent as well. Really got to have such sharp focus, including at some of the earlier bars, the easier bar, which aren't your personal best. Yeah, really attack that one hard. One of the things that he doesn't have, in fact, despite achieving really well and making it through to international finals, is the national record. It's been held since 2000 by Konstantin Matusevic, who was 5th at the Sydney Olympics that year. That best of 2:36 set in Perth the same season. He was also 4th at the European Indoors in 1996, so 3 decades ago. Valentin Androne. So again with a long run up, approaching from this near side, the left. And that was also a little bit consistent. Checked the run up slightly, but was effective. So he is also over 2:15. And that's great. It means the battle between this trio will continue. So back to Cason O'Reilly. And I think that's the first time we've seen him bring the bar down. To 18, so going up by smaller increments now. I often think that's one of the quirks of field events, particularly obviously the pole vault and high jump. Yeah, what personal best sometimes or season's best you set is at the mercy, or so to speak, of the increments by which the height goes up, bar goes up. 218 catatonic first attempt. Oh, and despite not as consistent a run-up as his clearance at 215, still very effective. He's got a long tall frame to get over any bar. And sometimes must feel like he's really dragging those heels or pulling those heels over. So let's have a look. Use that nice wide long arm span, leg span to good effect. Springs up off the ground. Carries that tall frame over. So Cason O'Reilly, second failure, 218. So suddenly this height looking more difficult for him. An athlete who's competed for Texas State University. Catatonic also studying out in the US in Illinois. O'Reilly, who was undefeated through his high school senior season a few years ago. Androne. By the way, 240 is the Romanian record, so 4 centimeters higher than the Israeli record that I mentioned a moment ago. Androne at 218. So, having a bit of difficulty here. Yeah, that high jump record of Sorin Mate goes back to 1990, set in Bratislava. An athlete who was second at the European Indoors in 1992. So O'Reilly surely going to attack this one hard. That is much better. There we go. Someone clears at 218. Cason O'Reilly. You knew there wasn't much in it, but look at that. Looks so effortless when the athlete gets it right. Nice bit of travel of direction across. Oh, made that look comfortable. Androne, final attempt 218. You can see the male discus throwers warming up in the background. Having seen the women's discus earlier won by Alexandra Emelianov of Moldova. Let's see what Androne can do. Last chance, and that was the closest attempt. But same eventual result, I'm afraid. So it brings us on to the final of the 110 hurdles, having already seen the meet record for Barnard Mondre of South Africa. So Nolan van Kaamberg, the Belgian, who's improved this year to 13.52. Alongside him, Philip Demshar, Balkan Indoor Champion 2 years ago. Hugo Chapardo of Spain, who looked good earlier, was just pipped, but managed to qualify for this final. Mondre with that new record. Couple of tenths faster than it. 13.4. It was a solid time. I wonder whether he can win this one against stronger competition. Angel Diaz would be one of those athletes who challenged the World University Games silver medalist. Very determined look on his face. Damian Chikia, of course, was against him earlier. Very experienced athlete, fourth at the World Championships 2022. Personal best goes back to that year with 13.27. 13.44 this year is still pretty strong. And Thiago Resende dos Santos of Brazil alongside the South American silver medalist. Also 13.44 this year. Same season's best as Chikia. And Eli Uziel, who was third in his heat. So the best of the local athletes. 13.97 at best, but a strong windy personal best earlier. And also looking good was Sagi Lamdiel. As you can see, 13.89 this year, his best mark. So, great to see 9 lanes in use, therefore, in this final of the men's 110 metres hurdles. Often see Nolan van Kaamberg competing on the European circuit, and really pleased for him to get the personal best this year. Of course, yeah, another hoping to qualify for the European Championships. There's a few can say that in this field. Demshar alongside him, then Chapardo, Mondre, who was fastest earlier, Angel Diaz Rodriguez, Damian Chikia, Thiago dos Santos, Eyal Uziel, and Sagi Lamdiel. So hard to predict a hurdles race. We've been given a flavour earlier. That's a good getaway. You can see again from Mondre, the South African, in the black and red. Chikia trying to chase him down and is doing so well. Chikia, the experienced pole now. Is he going to take this? Just does across the line as Mondre fights back. 13.36 on the clock. And he should be very, very pleased with that. Again, waiting for that wind reading. But in all conditions, that'll be one of the fastest times of his career. Athlete who's been very strong on the world stage, but also quite unlucky. I mean, hey, fourth at the World Championships is not to be snipped at all, given particularly the strengths of the Jamaicans and the Americans. Of course, they've had a podium clean sweep, the Americans, in the past at Worlds. 33 years of age now is Chikir, who was helped by a bit of a stutter from Mondre, but yeah, the South African did fight back. Chikir, though, using his experience, going faster in the final, bringing it all together. Messier race than in the heat, also for Angel Dias Rodriguez and Dos Santos, the Brazilian, just beaten there into fourth place. So what we want to find out is if the wind reading is valid. Well, 13:32 it's been given as officially. And look at that, very close between Diaz, who actually got second place ahead of Mondre. Chikir, the Polish national record holder, 13:25 from 4 years ago at his national championships in Suwałki. Actually, his three best times and his only times sub 13:30 have all come in Poland. So I believe that is a windy time, described as marginally over the limit. But yeah, still some great times today regardless. A windy time would have otherwise been an Israeli national record for Lamdiel. He himself is very close to a record that's been held 1385 since 2007 to Michael Ilin, and he has 1389 this year. So interesting to watch. Cheswell Johnson wearing a Manchester United shirt here, receiving the medal. I was following his victory in the 100 metres. And in the Lithuania vest is Emma Rupshuta, getting the victory. The women's 100 metres. So yeah, 10-0 flat for Cheswell Johnson. I think it was 10:02 in the end, but windy. Was the first track final of the day in this main program's Maika Chidolin winning the 100 hurdles. She would later return to face Rupshuta in the 100 metre flat. And Alexandra Emelianov, the winner in the women's discus over 58 metres. Ami Baran, the president of the Israeli Athletics Association, handing out those medals there. And also head of the LOC at those European Under-20 Championships, which I know he was very pleased to be able to host. So a victory presentation for 4 of our winners so far. Women's long jump, next field event to begin. Having seen Luva Manyongo the victor in the men's event, 8:35, windy jump, 8:12. Season's best. We're playing the Eurovision entry. In fact, they finished second place, Michelle. I always love to mention, I mean, particularly the crossover between European athletics and Eurovision sport. When we feature a Eurovision entry, and given the love for Europop on the circuit, it's a bit of a collector's item. It's a bit of a set the gong off moment. O'Reilly 2:18, up to 2:21 though now. I think there's a bit of an error on the left hand side. You can see on the right showing 2:21. He's over. This is 1 centimetre below his season's best there. Joni Kapitolnik here in the high jump, 2:21. So this would be to equal his season's best. Set to win the Big Ten Championships last month in Lincoln, New England. Let's see if he can do it then. 10 centimetres below his PB. Second attempt. Oh, I stuttered just before the crucial moment, that jump. Yes, still sometimes effective. Unfortunately not for him there. So we're midway through these long jump introductions. We saw initially Millie Tunkel, represented Israel at the European Team Championships last year in Maribor. That's Romy Tamir, another emerging international, another athlete in the States, also at the University of Illinois with Kapitolnik, 22-year-old. Personal best this year, 6:34. So yeah, really respectable distance that. Also a decent triple jumper. Personal best there, 13:50. And she was 9th at the Balkan Championships. Her top 4 long jump performances all set this year, though, suggesting that this season is going pretty well. Just looking what the Israeli record is in the women's long jump. In fact, of course, Hannah Minenko, best known as a triple jumper, but yeah, a world and European medalist, but no surprise that she would also hold the long jump record, so 6:52. But Tamir does hold the indoor long jump record. Of course, that seems to count less these days. But as I said, there'll be somewhere out there who's celebrating that. Right, Kapitolnik's trying to stay in the competition. Third attempt at 2:21 now. Let's see what he can do. Oh, there we have it. He almost falls off the bed, but does bring that long frame over. So equals his season's best and performs under pressure. Second time he's cleared it, the third attempt has managed to correct and get it right. Look at this. Springs off the ground and pulls that frame through. And almost need to extend the high jump bed. It's a pretty big one actually to start with. Punches the air with delight. Yes, recovered from some injury issues that we'd previously seen in order to have a decent season last year and win the World University Games title. The strength of different events can really vary in that, no disrespect to anyone, but we've seen the likes of Pavel Fajdek, multiple times world champion, win there at the World University Games, but there's some events that aren't quite as strong. Still, Kapitolnik, he's capable of some really great distances, and I think maybe you might even say that the men's high jump these days is more unpredictable than women's, where you have someone like Yaroslava Mahuchik, the world record holder currently in play, and other great athletes from such a young age winning international medals like Angelina Topic. You really know that you kind of have a banker of athletes that you know that can comfortably clear 2 meters time and again. Yeah, some of the top athletes in the men's game have had their injury issues as well, like Gianmarco Tamberi. And there are some others who, sometimes blow hot and cold, or, have had injuries like Kapitolnik himself. So new height of 224, 3 centimetres below the PB of O'Reilly, the American. Well, he has looked the most consistent jumper throughout this competition. As you can see, he did initially have that perfect record. Irina Budzinska, strong Ukrainian contingent here. Round 1 of the women's long jump, driving hard down this runway, working those arms, hitting the board pretty well. And the crowd really enjoying the long jump here, adjacent to the main stand. Hesitant to say that the wind is dying down. It could even get more windy as we head towards the evening, or I mean we are in the evening, but colder temperatures. So Kapitolnik, you can see here, really determined to make the most of this opportunity. Doesn't get too many chances to compete on home soil here in national championships and some others. Based in the States now. Great spring off the ground once again. Well, at least he comes off the bed in one clean sweep, really. One flowing movement. Uses less energy to haul himself up from lying down, which is where most athletes end. You can see the decathlete Ariel Atias helping out with coaching, perhaps. Hasn't quite got the frame of Kapitolnik, but is a reasonable high jumper himself. And it's nice to see young athletes and current athletes involved in coaching. Second attempt, Cason O'Reilly. Another tall athlete here in the Adidas kit. What can he do? Oh, I thought he might just have that. Yeah, looked like strong height initially. And that's showing us his third attempt there, is it? So I think we're going through second attempts. Nicola Massetti, her second event of this competition. Let's see what she can do. I have a feeling that may have been very, very close with foot placement. Not seeing white flag at this point, but I am seeing wind legal jump. What about Kapitolnik? Yeah, not as much height that time, I'm afraid. So believe that second time failure. Massetti, Italian sprint hurdles champion indoors 2023 and 2024. Personal best in this event, 6:05. 6 meters. Sign of a good athlete, and world class over 7 meters. That famous barrier. Athletes wait and wait to try and clear. Jasmine Soy is doing it on the way to European indoor gold in Istanbul 3 years ago. What can Rami Tamir do here? Another one of the Israeli athletes out studying in the USA, in Illinois. She's had a really strong season. We've seen her compete in the past at European Team Championships and European Under-23s as well. She did the long jump and triple jump 3 years ago at the European Teams in Horosol, and then just the one event in Maribor last year. Didn't make the final at the Under-23s in Espoo, Finland. Another wind legal attempt, just waiting for that measurement to come up for Romy Tamir. 6:33 Israeli indoor record this year. So that then will be the third failure, I'm afraid, for O'Reilly in the high jump. Still has had a strong competition. It's been a nice, good fight between these three athletes. 400 hurdles coming up next on track. So you're watching live coverage of the Grand Slam Jerusalem, a World Athletics Continental Tour Silver event. It's been held in the city for the last 3 years. And temperature dropping a little bit now in Jerusalem. Was 28 degrees at the start of the competition. Third attempt here for Kapitolnik at 2:24 in the high jump. Yeah, temperature 25 degrees now. Still humidity 55%. A lot of pacing around here from Kapitolnik, but just waiting for this moment. Showing a second, that's on count back to O'Reilly, but would go first if he cleared 2:24. Budzinska once again. Ukrainian indoor champion this year and outdoors last year. That was better. In terms of height anyway. Piece of tape put down by Kapitolnik for the start of his run-up. Let's see what he can do. Final attempt, 2:24. Controlled acceleration, eyes on the prize. Just needs a moment to reset. Long way down to those legs. Has to make sure that the blood is travelling there. I say tongue in cheek. Yeah, looking to clear it the third time of asking for the third time, indeed. Just wonder how much time is left on the clock here. I think initially he was pacing around waiting for the bar to be reset, or he was gesturing that something was still happening. Looking for a season's best and looking for the crowd support. The World University Games winner, former European Under-20 and World Under-20 champion as well, Kapitolnik, the Israeli. That was a real reach there, you can see as he went for that bar. Now, I hope he hasn't hurt himself. That would be a real shame. An athlete who's had his fitness issues in the past looks to be in pain. And sometimes we often seen him jumping despite the pain, but really hope he's all right. Oh, not a nice way to end the competition. Yeah, trying to give everything to pull those legs up to try and clear. An athlete who's had his injury issues in the past. That's really not what we want to see. I hope it's not too serious. He gestured earlier on in the competition, I think it was the first attempt that we saw, that he may have been experiencing a bit of a niggle or a bit of pain there. Anyway, women's 400 hurdles. Next on track, Gal Natanel on the outside. This is Noah Levy, 9 times Israeli champion, including in the heptathlon, long jump, triple jump, and both hurdles. Alongside her, Gnafaki Dimitra, Balkan champion in this event in 2021 and 23, 56.14 at best. Martha Rasmussen, European under-20 bronze medalist 5 years ago in Tallinn. Danish athlete, an improver this year to 56.67. And then the Andorran athlete, Dunia Vinyals. So she won her race at the European Team Championships in Maribor last year in the 3rd division, the lowest division. But Andorra had a very small team there, and they really were made to work around all the track and field events. It was a very impressive team effort. Summed the competition up. 58.37 her new PB this year. So yeah, just looking along, Levy and Rasmussen, Vinyals, all improvers so far this season. Rasmussen getting a bronze medal. It was actually a Nordic 1, 2, 3, 4 5 years ago at the European Under-20s. Andrea Ruth, the gold medalist for Norway. And Mo Granat, Sweden. Rasmussen was 3rd. So she's the fastest athletes going by form this year. Let's see who can challenge her and how close it'll be. So just the 5 athletes involved here, and Rasmussen 2nd from the inside in that sort of lilac purpley vest. You've got Noah Levy, 9 times Israeli champion, going on the outside in that blue vest. Well past Natalal on her outside, and Levy looking very strong here. So PB in Tel Aviv recently for the 30-year-old of 57.65. Interesting to see if that wind that's been there pretty much all competition can push them down the home straight now to a good finish. So Rasmussen from Levy. Rasmussen looking very strong. 1 barrier to go, slight stutter over it, but has plenty of speed and momentum. What's the time here for the Dane? 56.80. So pretty close to that PB for the Danish 4x400 metre national record holder. That time set in May. And that PB already this month in St. Polten in Austria, June the 4th. So yeah, in really good form. And look at that. Levy gets a personal best just behind. That's by nearly 0.2 of a second, 0.18. Dimitra in 3rd. Another long-standing Israeli record in this event, 56.09, going back to 2000 for Irina Lenski. I think this is the long jump. It's hard to tell almost given the background, but quite clearly see appears to be an athlete on the runway. Zamir. Foot appeared to be over the line, expecting that to be a red flag. Yeah, another signal for that is the sandpit being raked straight away. It was a little shy of the stadium record, by the way, 56.50 in that last track race by Alexandra Uta, winner of the European Under-20 title. Romy Tamir. Let's see what she can do. Building up speed with the run-up. Not too much vertical lift there, but it's a solid jump. Appears to be a decent way over 6 meters. Yeah, I think that was a foul once again. So we're seeing a few of those. I think that yellow line is the leading mark. Stadium record, Tabia Eitel 6:59. Again, another winner of the European Under-20 Championships 3 years ago. Israeli all-comers record 6:84, going back to 1983. Anasoara Kuzmir of Romania. Bujinska, the Ukrainian champion. Oh, that is another foot that's over, I think. Yeah, I think it's having a few issues just at the moment with run-ups. The multi-talented Linoy Levy, twice a national 400 hurdles champion. Sprint hurdles seems to be her best event these days. 100 hurdles, that is. This is Menachem Mendelchem. Like Estelle Valiano, a decent shot putter and discus thrower. Won the Israeli title in both events last year. Yosif Mihalis Papa of Cyprus, 23-year-old based in the USA. 64-14 this year in Ramona. You can see there the power, the pull that he gets on that throw. It's fantastic. Uses his frame well, uses his strength. .56.25 personal best by comparison for Chen. So Papa, you'd say, I guess, the favourite here, one of the favourites to do well. But it all comes down to how the athletes do outside of Ramona. We've got some decent others as well. Go through them in a moment. Go back to this long jump competition. Onto the men's 400 hurdles then. And decent chance of a meeting record here, held by David Delgado of Spain, 49.42. A couple of athletes very close to that. Mayan Paz on the outside, a 53-second athlete. Alongside him is Adam Jacobi, 51 seconds at best. And we're again seeing the best that Andorra has to offer. Eloy Villar competed at the European Under-23s. Papagiannis on the innermost used lane there. It's interesting, there are blocks on both the outside lanes. Or the inner and outermost lanes, either a DNS or... yeah, not sure why. So this, the B final with just the 4 athletes. Paz going well on the outside, and Jacobi, who's a couple of seconds faster on paper, trying to chase him down. Coming past indeed in that lighter of the blue vests. So sun pretty much setting the floodlights on inside the Givat Ram Stadium. So pulling clear this time from lane 4. Good battle behind there, as you can see. Jacobi just going to fall short there. Papagiannis coming through for the victory. 51.23, couple of tenths shy of his PB. Romy Tamir pushing for a valid measurement is at least what she would like here. 6:37 in the second round, and that was a personal best. So first time I think we've seen that measurement confirmed. So it looks like she did get a PB a few moments ago, which is fantastic because it means that her best 5 competitions have all been this year. .627 and windy this time. Just shows you how much you benefit from the luck sometimes with the wind when it's your turn to jump. Yeah, 6:52, the Israeli record set at the National Championships, winning the title by Hannah Minenko in 2014. So, been held for 12 years, and now Romy Tamir just 15 centimetres away. So we've got the Discus underway, the men's event, and also the A final of the 400 hurdles soon to take place. This is Romy Tamir in the long jump that's still ongoing. Also have plenty of 200-meter races. Women's 1500 meters as well. And men's 800, I should say, too. So around another hour of action. This is Dennis Valiulin, who's in 6th place at the moment. Yeah, among the athletes we've seen compete on these live streams, European Athletics streams, the European Team Championships and Throwing Cup as well, of course. Personal best goes back to 2018, 58.15. The 36-year-old four-time Israeli champion across shot put and discus. But as I was saying, yeah, now Menachem Mendelchen starting to emerge. So both Zamir and Tamir in this long jump. Here is the format. Zamir, who's just 17 years of age, by the way, personal best of 5:54. Angelika Mitin, another one of those knocking on the door of 6 meters in 6th place. A final of the men's 400 hurdles then with Hugo Menin, French bronze medalist, on the outside. Twice the Balkan champion representing Austria, Niklas Strohmeyer. 49.43, recent personal best at Polton. The Israeli record holder then is Omri Schiff. And set that record at this meet last year, 49.82. Another South African athlete here, Ntiso Nkanyani, 400 and 400 hurdles PB this year, 48.61 and 50.14. Twice Hungarian national champion then is Banoshi. On his inside for Italy, Alessio Somakal, personal best in Rome on the 3rd of June, 50.11. And 6-time Greek champion Levantinos, Dimitris Levantinos, personal best 50.33. So we've got 3 athletes that have gone sub 50 seconds in the past. Again, the mark of a great athlete, although that It's kind of been a moving goalpost over the last 4 years or so. 5, 6 years, you might say, particularly a world record. And that was set, taking on new leaps and bounds in Tokyo, and the rivalry between Carsten Warholm and Rai Benjamin and others has pushed this event on the men's side, same in the women's side really, Sydney, McLaughlin, Lerone to new heights. So Levantonis, Banoshin, Kanyani, Schiff, Strohmeyer and Menan. A final of the 400 metres hurdles is underway now, and well, interesting because Omri Schiff, of course, setting that national record at this meeting, and whereas some of the 100, 200 races would be affected by the wind, he has the boost down the home straight and potentially a bit more difficulty down the back straight here right now. And Kanyani going well. And then on the outside, Strohmeyer, I think that's in the yellow. And Menan, blind on the outside, gone off pretty hard as well. So some really strong battles. Banoshi just hits that hurdle hard and that knocks him out of contention. So Menan down the home straight, trying to hang on here. Stutters badly into that hurdle. Strohmeyer now comes through. What an exciting race this has been. 49.49 for Niklas Strohmeyer. Twice the Balkan champion, 22 and 2025. 49.43 was his recent personal best. So very, very close to that there. And just 500ths off the Israeli all-comers record held by David Delgado, set last year 49.42, which is also the stadium record. Yeah, I said at this meeting last year, so it really was a clean sweep there, and Strohmeyer not too far away. You can see the gap between him and Menan, one on his outside. And Kanyani is a South African going very well at this point. And Banoshi it is in the white. And so initially just watch Banoshi in the white. He also hit that hurdle badly, so his stride pattern was already a little bit out of sorts, and kicks that one down almost into the lane inside of him. And then just has to ease off a bit. And that's his race run. And Kanyani also comes a cropper there. So Menan fading and fighting. Usurped by Strohmeyer, our victor. Romy Tamir putting together a good series here. What can she do now? Driving down this runway, watch on the board, a little off to the right hand side and a little ahead of where she needs to be. Bit of a shame because she's an athlete in form. Looks like Budzinska will be next to go, our leader in the women's long jump. Oh, there can't have been too much in that. So 6.49 in the opening round. Budzinska still leading. That's her only valid measurement so far. Let's see if she can back that up here. So leans back that style we quite often see from Ukrainian jumpers. And then launches herself into the air and looks very pleased with that. So what has Budzinska done here? .7 wins, so that's legal. 6.82 her personal best last month in Limassol. Well, she jumped windy 6:43 here last year to win the meeting, did Bojinska. And looks like she has a stadium record here. Anastasia Korhachina. Personal best 5:71 this year. So we see some further presentations. Men's sprint hurdles winner Damian Chikia and women's 400 hurdles winner Martha Rasmussen. Really nice South African top there with the flag. Luva Manyonga, the winner here today, 8:35 windy jump. Yeah, although windy, still bettering the Israeli all-comers and the stadium record. And yeah, I think looks like windy jump still eligible for some of those. Certainly for the meeting record. Some events have two listed. They have the windy and the non-windy. So Erwan Kanati 8:06 last year, the Frenchman. So quite a bit further than that, both wind legal and otherwise. Let's catch up with the discus then. Pavlidis 60:21 leading the way. Flies nice and clean through the air there. That's a really strong effort. Fourth at the World Under-20 Championships, the Greek record holder. That's set in Ramona last year. 65:11. He's still just 22 years of age. Fifth at the European Under-23s last year. So seemingly an athlete who's been a bit unlucky to miss out on those podiums, but to have the Greek senior national record. Denis Valiulin in 6th place, 51:58. Ido Moore, no marks so far. That's a very interesting vest that he's got there. Looks like a thrower on it. I wonder if that is Nick Poncio. With the moustache, with a Super Mario hat on. Fascinating. I think it even says Poncio on the back, and there's more than athlete One athlete wearing that. Fascinating. You quite often see things like that as what fans wear, but not necessarily other athletes. Well, this women's 1500 final is really interesting because it includes what Israel has in terms of best to offer. Adva Cohen has previously been national record holder, in fact, but has had that taken away from her by Auerbach, but also some emerging Ethiopian talent. So Adva Cohen, known best as a steeplechaser, personal best in the 1500, 409.94. Yeah, the record, Sivan Auerbach at the International Flanders meeting in Brussels, 409.36, so not far away from that. But Cohen with a steeplechase national record set in Tokyo, 9:19.9. Represented Israel at pretty much all of the major championships over the years. This is Millie Tunkel on the runway. Yeah, represented Israel in the 4x100 metres at the European Team Championships last year. 6:04 was her personal best, but, well, looks like if that's correct, she's improved quite a bit today. 6:16, so I haven't seen too many of her jumps, but that's fantastic that she has had that consistent improvement there. Out to 6:16, all wind legal as well. The 22-year-old, yeah, confirming it does appear. I mean, some competitions don't appear on World Athletics profiles, so that's possible as well. But most of the Israeli events seemingly do appear. Yeah, one of the athletes who competed at the Israeli Winter Championships. There isn't necessarily an indoors, but it's hot enough, of course, most times of the year. But Tunkel having a fantastic competition here, because it does suggest her personal best was 6:04. So Shito Gumi there, the 19-year-old Ethiopian, and then this is Ayala Harris, the Israeli 5K road record holders, and yeah, teenager still, and did compete last year at the European Under-20s. Now to Basha Deba, one of the more unknown athletes, but a time written down here for her of 4:10, so still pretty respectable time. Habtam Gebeyahu, 7th at the African Championships, of course, recently held in Ghana, 4:11.80. Personal best set in Nerja last year, southern Spain. So is this going to be a chance for Adva Cohen, as I say, best known as a steeplechaser, to try and reclaim the Israeli 1500 metre record? And she holds it indoors actually as well, along with the 5,000 metres indoors, the steeplechase, the mile as well, which was actually a race set indoors but is an outright record. And I think the 2K steeplechase that we've seen her break at this meeting. Long pause for these athletes then, but looks like just about ready to get going in the 1500. So it's interesting to see who goes to the front behind the pacemaker. So Adva Cohen, a long time based out in the States, still having a decent season really. Season's best of 4:12 at the Portland Track Festival. Just a few days ago, just 4 days ago, but I know she really enjoys coming back here and racing, and as referenced by that 2000 national record here. So Shito Gumi, 19 years of age. No 1500 time for her, but 8:41.18 as a 3000 meter time. Again, pretty respectable. The Israeli all-comers record over this distance, 4:06.19. Violetta Becler, Romania, set back in 1990. So stretching back pretty far. Of course, this is just the third year that the meeting has been held. Yolanda Kalabis of Germany last year, 4:13. So that's much more attainable. And that is also showing as the stadium record, in fact. So you can see breakaway of 6 athletes, including the pacemaker there, just wrestling to get back to the front. Shito Gumi, the Ethiopian, the teenager, just behind. And then you've got her compatriots as well. Hantul Basha Diba, the athlete who's run 4:10 in the red vest. And looks like Rel Zero Haliu again, an athlete we don't have a time for over 1500 metres. 1:57.12 as they came through there. And Isar Cohen just dropping off the back, which is interesting there, because obviously she has recently run 4:12. And the other question is what the wave light pace is set at. I imagine one could well be the Israeli national record, and that could be what she is striving to stay with, and maybe just falling a little bit behind there. So Cohen actually doing pretty well to try and get back to this group of 3 in front of her. So Habtam Gebehu, Alain, the other athlete involved in this, the 4:11 runner, alongside the 4:10, Diba in the red, and Gumi, the long-time leader. And Cohen's done very, very well to stay with this pace. Looks like she's battling here, but will use all her experience. Athlete who won the steeplechase at the European Team Championship 2nd Division last year. Personal best coming a couple of years ago in Belgium, and she just drifts off this group again. This trio of young Ethiopians, really quite exciting to watch. And they brought some strength in numbers here. And they've made it quite tricky for Adva Cohen. But may still pull her along to a good time. So Habtam Gebehu, Alahain here. As I mentioned, a finalist at the African Championships, but over 800 metres. And this is a fantastic kick after she has sat in behind throughout most of the race. Gumi, long-time leader, in 3rd. And just look how this has been strung out. She's ahead of all of the wave light, all 3 colours here. And so is it going to be around 4:10? Alahain comes through. 4:12.72 on the clock. And Cohen really strolling into the finish there. Made it really difficult with that pace. Ayala Harris coming through now. She has a personal best 4:23.24 set this year, 19-year-old. And really a rising star of Israeli distance running. Competed, as I say, at the European Under-20s over 3,000, which she was 9th, and 5,000 where she was 13th. She's going to be outside her personal best, but not by very much at all. Yeah, another based out in the States, I believe. Yeah, it's always interesting to see the emerging talents, and we had them, whether it's Israel or Ethiopia here. 3 relatively unknown athletes. all emerging. And of course, those who can kick like that will particularly stand out over some of the long distances, the longer distances over which the Ethiopians are obviously best known. Irina Bujinska, 667, wind legal jump previously. And she's having a really strong competition. You can just tell by her reactions. So that 667 breaking the stadium record and meeting record. Tabia Eitel setting it last year in the stadium 659. I should say 2023. Yeah, Bujinska, sorry, beating her own 6:43 meeting record from last year. Also beating the stadium record set by Eitel 3 years ago at the European Under-20s of 6:59. All-comers record remains 6:84. Kuzmir, Romania, 1983. So Romy Tamir with a personal best at this meeting here today, 6:37. Let's see what she can do. .637 personal best coming in the second round. Her top 5 jumps ever, all coming this year, but can't finish with a flourish, I'm afraid. Gets second place, it seems, Millie Tunkel, another Israeli athlete, getting third place and also a PB on the day. So ultimately, trying to help get athletes qualified for the European Championships. It might still be a tough ask with 6:34. 6:77 is the automatic standard. 14 athletes over the entry standard at this point. Romy Tamir 70th on world rankings. Oh, sorry, 70th on those eligible, I should say, perhaps, by world ranking. It's all complicated, isn't it? But there is a good website called Road to Birmingham. 30 places available in the long jump entries for Birmingham in August 10th to 16th, and it will be covered on the live stream where you can watch uninterrupted action and also some isolated feeds, which is basically broadcast speak for just watching one event jump by jump, for example. Irina Bujinska, 680 in the 5th round. Well, we didn't see that measurement confirmed, I don't think, but that is a fantastic performance. Just look at this series, 649, 687, breaking her meeting record, then doing so again, and going very close to the all-comers record, behind by 4 centimetres. Bujinska, what a performance, 6:58 in the end. So yeah, 4 jumps that would have all won the competition here today. And just 2 centimetres shy of her personal best set in Limassol last month. So clearly likes this part of the world. Bujinska, who's a nutrition and health coach. Okay, some field results. O'Reilly, Kapitolnik, Androne. Good battle that in the high jump with just the 3 athletes. Equal season's best for Capitonic, and they're very close in clearing higher heights. Strohmeyer, 49.47. Again, one of the best times ever seen on Israeli soil from Sommerkal and Mena. Sommerkal coming through right at the end. Strohmeyer also with a fast finish for the Austrian. And then Habtam Gebehu Alahain for 12.71 officially in the end. So it's now dark enough, I guess, for a light show here. And that's what we're greeted in, alongside some entertainers in the crowd. So, expecting men's 800 meters coming up next. So quite a busy field here. In the Ethiopia vest, we've got Merga Hika, Ethiopian bronze medalist, personal best in March in Addis Ababa, the capital city, of course, 1:48.98. Another pacemaker alongside Biruk Tedessa. He's the national champion of Ethiopia over this distance. Another strong Brazilian athlete, having seen Dos Santos earlier in the hurdles. Guillermo Oreñas, personal best last year in Sopot, Poland, 1:45.01. And looks like a Belgian vest there. Gibre. In fact, it's just an Asics vest, but very similar to the Belgian colours. Netanel Gibre, Israeli, 1:55.55, his PB. That'll teach me. Christian Gabriel and Yair. Yair, a 1:58.8 athlete at best. This is the Ugandan Tom Dradriga. 5th at the World Indoor Championships last year in Nanjing. Tal Avidan, 1:57 personal best in the Israel vest. And alongside him, 5-time Israeli champion, European under-18 silver medalist in 2022 in this stadium. And what a moment it was. I remember the mayor was here for it. It was a great reception. And it's always great when the host nation wins a medal. And you're really cheering for them, like we were in Estonia, in Tallinn, and here in Jerusalem. Jojinov and Chukrianfun, Tip Chukrianfun, another Israeli athlete, 1:52 at best. And Neri Haddad, 1:52.28. He's improved to this year. Shmone Mitriot Mitrim, 800 meters, if I heard the announcer correctly with the translation. So underway, and so yes, another situation not too dissimilar to Adva Cohen against some strong international guests, some of which Ethiopian, including the reigning Ethiopian champion, Biruk Tedessa, just to see how the likes of Noam Mamu can do. Now, well, his personal best is the national record, 1:46.81. Quite a few faster athletes in this field, but looks like he's slotted himself at the back of this leading group there in the navy vest, so we'll track him along. We've got 2 pacemakers, and then we've got the yellow, white and blue strip of Guillermo Oreñas, the Brazilian. So season's best on home soil in May, 1:45.15 for the Ibero-American bronze medalist. We hit the bell then, was around 52 seconds. Both pacemakers now off the track. It's Oreñas from Tedessa, from Dradriga, the Ugandan in the green. 1:45.99 for him in Nairobi at the Kipkeino Classic in April. The African bronze medalist 2 years ago. Mamu on the inside though, trying to find space. He's got his compatriot Chukrianfun behind. And Hika and Gabriel also involved. Hika, another one of the rising star Ethiopians. But look at this battle coming down the home straight. 3 or 4 in contention here. Oreñas is going to try and stay strong down the home straight. Dradriga finishing quickest of all, but it's going to be Oreñas. The Brazilian out front takes the victory. 1:46.35. Nice to see the Brazilians. As I say, don't get too many opportunities to see them on meetings like this, on live streams like this. But yeah, coming from South America, good to see a decent contingent from all around the world. Yeah, you don't see too many South Americans on the Diamond League circuit, for example. I mean, for a while, Thiago Braz was one of the top representatives. So 1:46.35 looks to be a stadium record. Another one beating a mark set at the European Under-20s 3 years ago. That was set by Jakub Dedisha of Czechia. And then the meeting record, yeah, smashes that. 1:48.75 Balas Vindic of Hungary a couple of years ago. And Oreñas, yeah, had to stay strong as Rodrigo was finishing, although that camera angle does kind of shorten the gap between the top two. Interesting to see the full confirmed official time. 1:46.33, so it's also an Israeli all-comers record, bettering a time set 42 years ago. So I think that might be the oldest record that we've broken today. Set by Rob Harrison of Great Britain. Rob Harrison, winner of the European Indoor Championships in 1985. Yeah, so that being the Israeli all-comers record. Of course, the meeting has only been held, this is the third time. So, yeah, naturally quite a lot of those records have gone. Some of them have been smashed like that one. Dradriga in second place, behind around half second. Similar sort of gap to Tedessa. Mamu, the best of the local athletes, as expected. European Under-18 silver. Hasn't really kicked on massively since then. That remains his best achievement in the sport, but has improved in terms of time to 1:46. This then is the final result, I believe, of the Discus Pavlidis, Greek record holder, 63.14. Big gap there to Stashtik. Didn't see him. 57.87. Hushak, Hungary, 56.72. Josif Papa, Cyprus, 56.11. And Adam Makis, second of the Greek athletes, 2 in the top 5, 54.96. I think we are still going, so graphic appeared to say Finn, as though it may have been a final result. But yes, we are still throwing here. So that's Idor Moore. Looks like Guy Gut Plash will be next to go. He's in 7th place. So Dimitrios Pavlidis leading the way, the Greek national record holder, 65.11. So final round we're in now then of the discus. Got Plash 43.48 from the second round. 45-metre athlete at best. Don't forget, still 200-metre action to come. Expecting to see 3 men's races and one straight final of the women's race. So that's all to come in the next half an hour or so. Dennis Valiunin calling for support. Let's go. Okay, another really tall athlete. He has more or less improved through his series. 36-year-old, 4 times Israeli champion. Does at least appear to have a season's best from this competition today. Oh, still managed to haul the discus out beyond 50 metres. Let's have another look here. So arms out far and wide, level with shoulders. Yeah, achieves a nice clean throw, but perhaps not quite the transfer of energy that he was looking for. Artemios Adamakis finds himself in 5th place with 54.96. A clean series for him so far. 58.98 his personal best. Oh, look at that fantastic speed there. Great skill by the remote control car driver. We've had these cars now in the sport for more than 20 years, and it's a good innovation. Even see them at football matches driving the ball onto the pitch. Josif Michalis Papa. Yeah, good speed there, and yeah, strong release. Again, making it look really effortless. It's been fantastic to see some of the emerging Cypriot throwers in recent years, and it all started in a way at the European Under-18s with Kassidis and Saba winning the hammer, and also, yeah, podium here in Jerusalem, double podium in the men's high jump. So Cyprus seeing some great talents coming through, led by those hammer throwers. Janos Hushak, we saw that he was in 3rd place, remains there now. Best attempt came in the opening round. A lot of these efforts, really clean flight there of the discus. So Hushak, another one of the more experienced throwers, a two-time Hungarian champion, the 34-year-old. 56-64 season's best. So Stashnik in second place. And again, over 55. Continuing his challenge to our leader, Dimitrios Pavlidis of Greece. Well, it's hard because sometimes the best throws can be skewed by what's going on in Ramona, the season's best there. So you really do have to pay attention to where the season's best have been set. For Stashnik, who's actually in Warsaw on home soil in May, World University Games champion from 3 years ago. So Pavlidis remains our leader. You can see there by quite some margin. Only athlete there over 60, and he's done it 4 times. And he's actually just over a metre off his season's best set in Ramona. Pavlidis just outside the medals at the World Under-20s and European Under-23s. And still just 22 years of age. Should say his season's best actually came in Ceres in Greece, 64-31. Look at that though, a great series, and 5 times is it over 60 metres, all but second round. Well, hard to pick really a highlight of the competition, but particularly enjoyed some of the personal bests in the long jump. We saw across a 680 jump and an 835 as well, generally speaking. It's a shame that we had some windy times, but still produced some good results nonetheless. Wind is part of the sport, and you could have wind in your European Championships, for example, and you have to be able to deal with that on that occasion. Kapitonik jumping well in the high jump, but of course hope that he didn't get injured at the end. Emmanuel Osse on the outside, and Liam Aqua. So as I mentioned earlier, Peretz and Aqua, part of the quartet that were 5th at the European Under-20 Championships in Tampere last year. So Peretz, Aqua, Osse and Kolwitz, just the 4 athletes involved here then. Again, relatively closely matched. And there was a bit of early movement there from Aqua, I think it was. So all 4 athletes remaining in the race, no issue there, according to the officials. Perez, Aqua, Osei, Kolwitz. So PBs all around the 21-second mark. Let's see what they can do here. Still decent conditions out there. Perez right on the inside. Then Aqua. Looks like he's going to be leading down the home straight. Perez still pushing, still fighting, the teenager. But Liam Aqua coming through very strongly here. So 21.80. His PB. 21.42. Bearing in mind it could well be windy time. That's still a great performance from Liam Aqua. Just 17 years of age, in fact. He's got quite a tall, strong stature, so yeah, maybe he looks a little bit older, but let's have a look. Has improved this year to 10.39 over 100 metres here in this stadium earlier this month. I can't be too far away from the national under-20 record, even though it doesn't show as such on his World Athletics profile. He has actually got a windy 21.18 as well last month here, which suggests that he is capable of running quite a bit faster than that 21.80. So yeah, 21.80 versus 21.18 windy. And yeah, that's wind legal, so it's a personal best by nearly 0.4 of a second. Ido Perez improves just slightly by a few hundredths. Oh, may have to go some to beat 21.41. We'll see what happens here. Certainly the fastest athletes, I'm sure they will in the A final later, because we've got plenty who are mid 20-second range, and we'll introduce those athletes very shortly. So quite a few of these guys, we've already seen the 100 metres earlier. So we see the presentation following that 1:46.33 win for Reñas, the Brazilian. Very strong to hold on to the finish, having been just behind the pacemakers initially. Alahain of Ethiopia winning the 1500 metres, 4:12.7. So winning time, beating two of her compatriots. Niklas Strohmeyer, the Austrian, very, very good finish. In the men's 400 metres hurdles, 49.4. Nice to see the winners all get their moment together. High jump next medal to be awarded. So Case and O'Reilly beating the home favourite Joni Kapitolnik. Had a good battle up to 2:21. Men's 200 metre B final coming up next then. So just starting to introduce the athletes. We're looking here at Jakub Śmiel, Polish athlete. This is Aviv Kofler, who was in the 100 earlier, personal best 21:28. So Cheswill Johnson winning the 100, and expect to see him later on in the A final. Brandon Paris and David Kulikovsky on the outside, and now we've gone to Niklas Panagotopoulos of Greece, Emmanuel Aka, the Israeli athlete, again another who's doubled up here, competed at the Balkan Indoor Championships this year in the heats, and the aforementioned Jakub Śmiel. And then Aviv Kofler. So 21:4, yeah, around the season's best that Kofler has. That was the winning time in that first heat just a moment ago. So Śmiel would be one of the fastest here, 21:12 his PB. So silence as they settle into the blocks. Kofler, Śmiel, Aka, Panagotopoulos, Panis and Kulikovsky. 200B final. Chris, sound of the gun now going, and 26. 21:4 earlier on. Let's see what Śmiel can do here in the red and white of Poland. Paris fighting in the black vest. Panagotopoulos is there as well. It's going to be Paris. And then Śmiel, Panagotopoulos, looks like in that order. 21:05, so 4/10 faster this time around in the B final. Women's 200 metres coming up next. Again, a few athletes that we've seen so far today, including Lucretia Sabataita and in the blue Emma Tagno. Drutman has also in the 100 metres, as was Nitsan Assas, who'll go on the outside here for Israel from lane 8. All 1 to 8 being used here. Yeah, sun very much set here in Jerusalem inside the Givat Ram Stadium, one of Israel's 2 principal athletic stadiums, and we have the light show returning. So she's improved to 24:59 this year. Nitsan Assas, the Israeli, who, as I say, was also in the 100 metres. Reigning Lithuanian champion, Lucretia Sabataita. 23:11 at best. This is Darlene Asante. 24:15 at best. Emerging Finnish talent, Emma Tanyo, perhaps stronger over the 200 metres, so interesting to see what she can do here. PB in Espoo home soil, 23:56 last year. Mercy Afrifa, 23:71, so fairly closely matched to that. Again, another athlete potentially also stronger over the 200. Just like her older brother. This is Alina Drutman of Israel. Yes, again, a similar time, 23:84 at best. Did the double at the last 2 Israeli Outdoor Championships. And Ilana Dorfman, second from the inside, 24:03, her PB. And then 25:29 she's improved to this year is Corel Cymbalist. We've got 4 athletes quite closely matched around the mid-23 second range. So with any luck, it'll be a nice battle down the home straight. Cymbalist on the inside in lane 1. Then Dorfman, Drutman and Afrifa, the 4 Israelis there. And Tanyo, the Finn, Asante, Israel, Sabataita of Lithuania. Of course, beaten by a teammate, Rufshuta, earlier on the 100, who hasn't reappeared here. And then Assas of Israel on the outside in lane 8. Camera focusing on Mercy Afrifa, emerging in her own right, but also, as I say, the sister of Blessing, World Under-20 champion and European Under-23s as well. So Tanyo going nicely in the bright blue vest here. And also Sabataita in the maroon on the outside. Let's have a look then. As promised, nice and close. Down the home straight. Tanyo, just a small lead by a fraction at the moment. Holding off Sabataita and still the Finn. 23:77 across the line there for Tanyo. So one of her fastest times and looks like a big season's best as we wait for the wind measurement to come up. But yes, as we thought, the Finn tends to be stronger over the 200 metres and proving that here in Jerusalem. Afrifa in 3rd place and the best of the home athletes beating Drutman. Yeah, Drutman might have a good battle on her hands, given that she's won the national titles over both sprints the last couple of years. Frifa might be challenging this year. Tanyo in the blue, don't forget, and then Sabataita in the maroon, Frifa in the black and yellow vest in third place. So, a strong victory there for Emma Tanyo. Quick turnaround between those two races. 23.75, season's best, another wind legal race, which is good to see. Men's 200 metre A race coming up very shortly then. Well, we're going to see perhaps the most recognisable face of Israeli athletics at the moment. Athlete who's won European Under-23 and World Under-20 titles, and a victory at the European Team Championships, having just seen his sister, of course, blessing Afrifa. And it's a decent field that he's coming up against here. Was initially entered for the 100 and 200 metres, certainly on the first entry list that I had. There was a suggestion that Pidi may do both, but yeah, focusing on the 200, in which I think probably he'd say it's his strongest event. Israeli 100 and 200 metre winner. Each year since 2020 he's done that double. 10:01 PB over 100 metres set here last July, in fact. Don't forget, one of few athletes to actually win the Under-23 title twice. Of course, you need a bit of luck there in terms of age eligibility, that you're not already 22 by the time your second one comes around. And any younger, you'd compete at the Under-20s anyway if you were 18, for example. So a bit of fortune there, but wanted to go out and retain that title, and did so in Bergen last year. Again, a good season for him, but yeah, that 1996 clocking will remain the case since he won World Under-20 golds back in Cali, Colombia. Of course, produced it as a teenager as well. To go sub-20 is fantastic. Represented his country at the Olympic Games in Paris, as well as the World Championships on 2 occasions now. Twice coming 7th at the Europeans. Well, hopefully at least going to see sub-21 clocking here. Some very strong athletes. Starting off with Lucas Jacques. 20.61 at vest. The Polish athlete in the green vest. And then our winner in the 100 metres, Cheswill Johnson. So 10.02 this year for 100, and he's improved over this longer sprint to 20.49. And that's faster than a free for this year, even if his PB is 1996. 20.84 for the Israeli this year. And then a consistent silver medalist at the Israeli Championships has been Gal Arad, 2063. So he's also an improver this year and looks strong. Another who's been based out in the States, where he studied. The Latvian Oskars Grava, 2063. Another who's got a PB. So same PB there as Gal Arad alongside him. So nice to see them in consecutive lanes. Gediminas Truskauskas, 22 times Lithuanian national champion. That does include relays and indoors. 2048 PB. And then Amina Kazmi of Belgium, right on the inside, 2066. So wow, you know, you've got a few athletes there separated just recently by 300ths of a second. A free for, yeah, certainly capable of running faster this year. He's got the Olympic necklace there with the rings around his neck. I always like to see that, whether it's tattoos or jewellery, athletes wearing that with pride. And you just have to respect that it's such an achievement to get to an Olympic Games. Why not? Why on earth not? Final race then of this Grand Slam Jerusalem meeting 2026. Kazmi, Truskauskas, Grava, Arad, Afrifa, Johnson and Zak. The final of the men's 200 metres, the A race. Well, Zak gets a good start there in the green vest, and you can see now Afrifa and Johnson looking very strong. So is it going to be all about them down the home straight? Pushing, fighting, working those arms hard. Away comes Johnson, looking to make it a sprint double. Afrifa chasing all the way to the line here. But Johnson does it. 20.28. Wow. Well, so is that wind legal? We have had the wind a little bit calmer later in the evening. But that is a fantastic time and would be 2/10 off his personal best. And would be a season's best by half a second for Afrifa. Truskauskas getting third place from Grava. So a bit of a Baltic 3-4 behind Johnson and Afrifa. Yeah, so just waiting on that wind measurement. It is wind legal, plus 1.2, so it is a personal best. 2026. Just outside the all-comers record that had been held since 1998 of 2022. But beating Afrifa's own stadium record set 2 years ago, and indeed the meeting record, which had been the same at 2047 to Afrifa. Well, it was interesting. He appeared to be fading a little bit, blessing Afrifa, but really fought back. So, yeah, it was that middle phase of the race. Maybe he was just trying to finish strongly, but Johnson didn't put a foot wrong. Still, Afrifa's been pushed by being in a decent race to a good time. And yes, would expect to see him at the European Championships. Very excited about Cheswill Johnson, though, adding his name to a great group of sprinters from South Africa, including Simbine Nkwana. Recently helped them set a national 4x100 metres record. And he's a great long jumper. 8.26 in the long jump. So a real talent that perhaps we haven't seen much of on the international circuit, Cheswill Johnson. And yeah, you've got Nkwana, of course, Richardson now competing for Republic of Ireland, as we've seen him on European Athletics streams recently. But yeah, some brilliant athletes, beyond which I mentioned Sean Maswanganyi, of course, who's done well out in the US. So, well, hope you've enjoyed this Grand Slam Jerusalem meeting. There have been records aplenty and finishing with a flourish. Some great personal bests and some close races right across track and field. So, as always, keep an eye out on the European Athletics social media channels for the meetings that are coming up, the live streams that will follow. Stars of track and field like was Titus Tentogli the other day, and now in the long jump it's been Luvo Manyonga in Jerusalem. Fantastic stuff. The usual good weather, promising great conditions. So, thanks very much for watching. Laila Tov, good night.